What better way to celebrate episode 182 than by listening to some sweet, sweet tones from Blink 182 and essentially donating the very small amount of revenue that this podcast makes to a punk rock band from the 90s. Well... This is episode 182, and today is Thursday, the 17th of August, 2017. Welcome to the Aussie Gamers Express video game podcast. I am your host, Lucas, and here with me this week is nobody. That's because our good man Snoogs isn't feeling very good this week, so he's going to be sitting this one out, which also means that luckily for you guys, you get to listen to me all on my lonesome, and that's probably going to get boring, but I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that we've got some sort of substance in here, and it's a decent show to listen to, especially for episode 182. We're getting up there. We're looking forward to it. All right, well, before we start, here is this week's show in preview. First up, we'll do video game discussion, where I'll discuss things on my own like a crazy maniac of a person. Then we'll do video game news, and in this week's news, we've got Division ditches the Sunniesb, no sausage for the US, and Mario Kart in VR. Then we'll do user-created content, what's that sound, and last words. So, first up on the agenda will be video game discussion. Alright, so the first up I've got on my list for video game discussion is Sonic Mania. Now, if you guys are fans of Aussie Games Express, which you probably are because you're listening to the podcast, you'll have seen on the Facebook page I put together a video review after playing Sonic Mania this week on the PlayStation 4. And I've got to say, it's what we needed. It's what Sonic needed. For the longest time, Sonic's had bashings left, right and centre for just poor quality, weird spin-off games that just didn't feel like Sonic. Some of them were slow, some of them were sluggish, some of them had terrible controls, and poor Sonic has been dealt a pretty shit hand over the years with the versions of it. And a lot of questions I've heard in the lead up to Sonic Mania: is Sonic the Hedgehog back? And what I've said a few times now, the easy answer to that one is yes. Sonic the Hedgehog is definitely back, and Sonic Mania is a game worth playing if you're a fan of the original games, because we're going back to old school. We've got old school graphics, we've got old school controls, we've got old school platforming fun. It's fast, it's responsive, the colours are bright and vibrant, and it's, above all, it's Sonic the Hedgehog. This game does Sonic justice. So it's definitely a game I'm enjoying playing. I haven't completed it as yet, but I've played it a shit ton, so there's a lot to play. But for those wondering, you start off with in Sonic Mania in the Green Hills zone, like you always did back in the original day. And at first, it's very easy to think, oh, okay, this is just a remake or a remaster of the original game, because it feels very much samey. But it doesn't take long for you to realise, okay, maybe it was very similar at the beginning, but now it's starting to change up. The game starts to get very different and starts to treat you with a lot of new things. Now, the game download size is about 200 megabytes. It's tiny. And I did a little bit of research, watched a few videos, and listened to what some of the developers talking about Sonic Mania, and they gave the development crew the restrictions of the old sort of 16/32-bit consoles, which forced them to keep it simple and keep it the way the original games were. They wanted to go with the 16/32-bit consoles, more so the 32-bit, because that's the constraints there would allow the better sound effects, the better music to be into the game, and but while still keeping the gameplay nice and simple like the originals. And I think they've done a really good job with it. Upgraded graphics, well, not graphics, I should say, upgraded color palette, The graphics still look exactly the same as the original, so they are pixely, and you can add a couple of effects using the settings. You can, make it look like a CRT monitor, or, with the scan lines and all that going horizontally across the screen. But all in all, it plays really well. Now, the characters you get to play in Sonic Mania, well, obviously, there is Sonic the Hedgehog you can play. There is Tails, or Miles, Tails, Prower, and you can also play as Knuckles the Echidna. Now, with Tails is perfect, as I've said a few times now, is perfect for the younger generation who may not be necessarily very good with platforming, because Tails can actually fly. Using his twin tails, he can fly across difficult terrain. So wherever you might have a child, a son or a daughter or what have you, or even a significant other that might be really terrible with platforming, they can play as Tails. You can play as Sonic and Tails like you could in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, or you can play just as Tails alone. You can also choose to play as Knuckles, and Knuckles has the ability to just run straight through walls that are breakable. He can climb up walls, he can glide, and also can do the usual spin dash and things like that. Now, with Sonic. Now, Sonic usually just can do the spin dash. He doesn't really have any abilities. And this time round, the developers thought, we need to add something to Sonic just so he doesn't feel underpowered, because he's the hero of the game. After all, it's named after him, and yet he doesn't have the powers that the others do. So what they've included for Sonic is what's called, well, I named it, I don't really know what it's called, is the instant spin dash. So before, in the past, the only way to do the spin dash was to stop what's the word I want? Just stop where you are. Dead still is the word I'm trying to look for. Stop dead still, press down on your D-pad or your controller, and then tap the hell out of the jump button, which will initiate a spin dash. You rev it up as fast as you can, and then you let go, and away he goes. Now, the instant spin dash will allow you to do it, not a massive spin dash, so not the max spin dash, but it'll allow you to do a pretty decent one after jumping. So if you jump into the air, let go of the button, and hold it down again, when you land, you'll do a spin dash in the direction that you're holding, which is really cool. That's a good feature there. Now, through my original playthrough, I have to play as Sonic. I can't play as the others. I have to play the game through as Sonic, because Sonic is the hero. He is the legend. I have to play as him, and I'm really enjoying it. There's a lot of new things added to the levels. Like there's one that's really cool. There's like a gun which is being held by a massive hand in the sky, and you jump into the chamber and it fires you off, which is a cool way of like sort of catapulting you across the levels and stuff like that. But yeah, the gameplay is fun. There's a lot of new elements like injecting like a gel into water to turn it into like a jelly, and that way you can bounce off the water rather than falling into it. The water levels are there, but they don't seem to be a full punishing water level so far, unless there is further on in the game. But all in all, I've got to say that Sonic Mania is definitely doing justice for the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. Now, there's another game coming out, Sonic Forces, later. I believe it's later this year, and this is a good setup for that, because it's going to get people it's going to whet their appetite for Sonic the Hedgehog, and that should help the sales for Sonic Forces. And hopefully Sonic Forces is just as successful, but only time will tell on that one. But Sonic Mania is doing really well. If you're wondering, Sonic Mania is available on Xbox One, PlayStation 4 and Switch, and has been delayed to the end of August for PCs. I don't know why. Strange. But anyway, that's what's happening. But that's what I've been playing this week. Next, I'm going to have... I'm going to tell you about Beyond Good and Evil. Now, this game's been out for a while now. I don't even remember how long it's been out for, but it's an Xbox One backwards compatibility game from the Xbox 360 days. Beyond Good and Evil HD. I think I picked it up in one of those gold deals, games with gold deals a few months ago. I think, I don't know. I've got it on my Xbox anyway, and I decided last night to give it a go, because it's been a long time since. Well, not been a long time. It's been a long time since it's been out, but I've been wondering about this game for ages, because a lot of people think very highly of this game. It got good ratings. People are dying for this new sequel that was sort of shown off around E3 time. And I thought, well, look, I better give this game a go, because I need to know a bit about it, being in the position that I'm in. So I gave it a try last night, and I've got to say, well, it is the HD version, so it does look nice. The colours are bright and clear, and it the gameplay itself is completely not anything like what I expected. I don't know why, but I was kind of expecting like a point and click adventure game. That's what I got from the art design. I hadn't really seen gameplay. It's nothing like that. It's kind of like a semi-open world platformer, and I really dig that. I think it's fantastic. I think it plays well. I think the characters are fleshed out. They're funny. There's humour. They're pretty cool. At one stage, my character Jade, the female lead character, says to the big fat pig accompanying character, calls him an old fart. And I don't know. I thought that was quite funny. But Beyond Good and Evil, it plays really well. The controls are tight. It's the camera controls are a little bit dicky, but you know it's forgivable, not terrible. But it's definitely aged very well, so I recommend giving that a go if you haven't played it, because there's a really awesome sequel in the works, which hopefully doesn't get canned, because it does look a little bit ambitious. But go and check it out. Go Google or look it up on YouTube, the Beyond Good and Evil 2 gameplay. It's crazy. But other than that, all I've had a chance... Actually, I've got one extra one that I've got to add to the list, and that's this Virtual Earth Online. Now, strange concept that when I first saw the trailer, I was a little bit blown away, I guess, and my first thought was, no, that surely isn't right. It can't be that good, that expansive. But basically, the idea behind Virtual Earth Online is it's like Minecraft, but it's more customizable, because it doesn't just use cubes. It does use cubes, but it uses smaller cubes, bigger cubes, circular things, and cylinders, and all that sort of stuff to make its overall geometry. But the thing is here, instead of having randomly generated biomes or worlds that you play in, it's actually using Google Earth to generate Planet Earth. It's Virtual Earth Online. So the game is as big as Planet Earth, and it's creating the landscape based on the maps from Google Earth. And it sounds very ambitious, and I guess no matter which way that you look at it, it definitely is ambitious. But I gave it a go. I did have a couple of issues getting into it. I tried it yesterday and couldn't get in. I've tried it again this morning and successfully got in. Now, what I really wanted to do this morning is I really wanted to travel to my home, because apparently your home is in the game. I don't think you don't necessarily own it, because it's got no way of knowing how you own it. I think you need to purchase it, purchase the real estate, buy your own home, what, I don't know. But the only thing is, I managed to work out how to get a portal opened for Sydney, but I don't live in Sydney directly, and it was really hard to sort of work out exactly where I was within Sydney. And I found that travelling without a portal was really slow, and I couldn't work out how to speed up the forward movement, because I was going to head west until I finally found my home, or at least found something that I found familiar. I could follow the freeway or something like that. But it was really slow. I've got to contact the developers and ask them if there's a way that I can find my house a little bit quicker rather than moving at a snail's pace. But it's free at the moment. You've just got to sign up on their website. There is a link on the Aussie Games Express Facebook page. Go and check it out. It's in free open beta at the moment, so you'll be able to get in and have a look. And it's very impressive from a beginning point of view. It very much does look like an unpolished Minecraft, which is a bloody good thing, because even slightly resembling Minecraft would be a good thing. It's pretty impressive. Now, there's a couple of things that will probably need to be ironed out. If you're aware about how Google Earth or Google Maps works, there's kind of like a grid, and it'll take images in a grid style sort of thing, where some parts of that grid don't line up. So you might have a road that's slightly off kilter, and it's not lining up. I mean, it still lines up pretty good, but it's not quite right. So with the roads in Virtual Earth Online, some of them are mismatched, and some of them have got like a raise in them. So if you're walking along the road, you'll find that you'll have to find a way to climb up onto the road. So it's not sort of ironed out as yet. That's something that probably could be fixed with some sort of algorithm, which is bloody over my head. So I'm glad I'm not the one having to work it out. But yeah, it's there. It's free. Go and check out the link on our page and check it out. Give them some feedback as well. I know they'd probably be very interested in hearing any feedback they can, just to help out their development process. All right, that's it on that one. I think the last thing I've got, I haven't played a terrible amount of games this week, but the last one I've got is Anchor FM. And not necessarily a game, but it's something that was brought to my attention by Stick Figure from the Doug podcast, and it's like a podcasting sort of app for your mobile phone. And I gave it a go, and I don't know, I guess I made like a 15 minute thereabout podcast, just sort of mucking around with it. So if you want to check that out, check out anchor.fm and search for something. I don't know if you're searching for Aussie Gamers Express or Lucas Aurelius. I don't know, but I'm gonna give that a go for a week or so and see how it goes. But interesting. It's good for podcasts. You can listen to the Aussie Gamers Express podcast through Anchor FM as well now. And on that note, you can also listen to the Doug Xbox and Chill podcast on iTunes now. They've got that up and running. That's also on Anchor FM and YouTube and all that sort of stuff. So check them out. That's pretty much all I have for video game discussion. Obviously, this week's show is going to be a little bit shorter because we've only got me rambling. There's nobody else to share their experiences, which is a shame. But you know, we wish Snoogs all the best. So I think without further ado, we shall move into video game news. Alright, so first up in the news, we have Division ditches the Sunnies. Now, a little bit cryptic there, but we'll get through as to what I'm talking about there. The next update for the Division, which is 1.7, will bring a slew of new features to the long-running shooter. And there are new classified sets and an encrypted cache loot boxes. There are also global event modifiers that will be added. These are weird and wonderful effects to the game, which kind of reminds me of like the Nightfall stuff on Destiny, and like all the different modifiers that are put in Destiny, like where you'll deal more damage when you're in the air, etc., etc. Well, these activity modifiers will also make tasks more difficult, but they're also going to offer higher rewards outputs, which is nice to know that you'll be doing it for an actual reason. The first global event, losing my voice. The first global event will be called Outbreak, and we'll get more information as it comes along. There's going to be new customization items coming along with new gear sets, and you can unlock wearable patches, which can be earned from completing tasks of varying difficulty. So wear it on your sleeve, how bloody good and effective a killer you are in the Division. And finally, you can re-customize the appearance of your character, which is what I'm talking about with ditching the Sunnies. I've had a pair of Sunnies on for the last couple of years, and they're starting to get a bit stanky, but now you can change them. You can also change your hairdo. You can change the look of your face. So I can get rid of my Lenny Kravitz character now. But do I really want to? We've been together for so long. I don't know. Let us know what you think. If you think that you should be able to change your character, or if you want it locked, if you want to keep it the way it is. I don't think it's a bad thing. One last thing. I did say that finally was the last one, but I've got another one here, that there are emotes going to be unlockable from these new encrypted caches. But you can unlock them using keys that you find in the game. So you can play the game to get these things, but you can also purchase them with real money if you so wish. So there you go. There's a whole bunch of stuff coming. I believe it is available now. If you're listening to this on Sunday, you should be able to go straight into the Division and give it a go with the new update 1.7. I don't have any information as to how big that download is, though, so go check that out for yourself. Right, so next up in the news, no sausage for the US. Conan Exiles has come to the Xbox One preview program. However, the US is going to be seeing things a little different to those in Europe. We know those Europeans like their risque business. I played Conan Exiles a little while ago on the PC, and the funniest part was starting the game and realising that you kick off it just like you do in real life in your birthday suit. But the thing is, you can actually customize the length of your schlong, or your schlort if you so wish, and your in-game dong will flap around with the movements, jumping up and down and squatting. Will have it flapping all over the place, and it'll entertain juveniles like myself and Reprime for a lot longer than it bloody well should. But anyway, in the US, they're not getting this part of the game. No schlongs for you. You'll be forced, if you're a US citizen, to keep your loincloths on at all times. As for the Aussie version of the game, I haven't heard anything as yet, and I haven't played it on Xbox or anything like that. But if you have the PC and get the PC version, you can play flappy dick as much as you like, which is, I guess, good news for those that are keen on a bit of flappy dick. Me? Well, I've had my fill. And the game was buggy as all hell on the PC, so I'm hoping it runs a lot better on the Xbox One, because when I was playing it on PC earlier on, it was in early access. The controls would stick on me often, and I would just continually walk in one direction, which kind of ruined things for me, and that's a shitty band, One Direction, eh? Alright, well that's it for No Sausage in the US. Let's move on to Mario Kart in VR. Snoogs called it. He said that this was happening, and I poo-pooed his idea. I said, nah, that can't be real. It's got to be some sort of hack or like just a mod or what have you. But it's real, and it looks fantastic. Don't get too excited. I'm trying to calm myself down. There's nothing on the horizon for any home Nintendo VR, but Namco, the creators of the original arcade Mario Kart races, have put together a VR version of the game, and it looks the goods. With a bit of luck, we might see it come to Australia, so we can give it a go. That'd be great. But for now, you're going to have to drag your ass over to Japan to try it if you really want to. But it looks fantastic. I've put a little soundless video up on the Facebook page. Go and check that out if you want to see it, or just Google it, or check it out on YouTube. You'll see some reports on it, and it looks bloody good because it's based on Mario Kart 8, which looks really nice and looks like it would work really well in VR. But I don't know. We'll see how that goes. So that's the end of news. So it's time to move into user-created content. Alright, so first up in user-created content, we've got from Paul Clannett. I should say at the beginning of this that it's just open slather this week. No specific question. Just put it out there to you guys, the listeners, to let us, just ask us questions, tell us some things. Paul David Clannett says to us, odd one, I'm getting a few tats, a music theme and a gaming theme. Ones that says something about my life. What gaming tat would you get? I'm torn between Mortal Kombat logo, a Space Invader, or something in television related. I think that Mortal Kombat logo would look really cool. The dragon with in the circle. That would be a sick tattoo to get. I'd rate that. Space Invader. Yeah, that's a good one. It's a simple one to get, so it would probably be a little bit cheaper. something in television related. Look, I think any of those ideas would be fantastic, Paul. If I had to choose from one of those, I'd probably go to Mortal Kombat logo, because that does look really cool. But I'd like it sort of shaded and maybe with a backing shadow or something like that would look really cool. Adam Ryle chimed in on that one and says the old Counter-Strike headshot logo that would appear in the kill feed. That's what I'd get. All right, if you're big on Counter-Strike, I guess. Oh, I'm absolutely terrible in that game, so that won't be for me. And Ross Mark also chimed in on the tattoo thing, and he says, yeah, for me, I'm intending to get this done soon, and I want the Sons of Anarchy logo, just because Anarchy is my gaming name. Not a big fan of Sons of Anarchy myself, but so I don't really know what the logo looks like. Also, something from a game for me, it has to be some logo from Destiny. Yeah, that'd be cool. Get you like your house flag on there or something like that. Just because I put so many hours into playing the game and there's some nice images that could work. Yep, I agree. That's not a bad idea, Ross. And Brenda Brownie Brown, he chimes in with a question here. I would love to know what was the first game that blew you guys away? And I'm talking a game that made you realize gaming could be an experience. Just like a movie, if that makes sense. Absolutely makes sense to me, Brownie. And the answer for me was pretty easy to come up with. A lot of the times when people say, I want to know your best this, your best movie, your favorite video game, your this, blah, blah, blah. It usually takes me a while. But the way that you've worded this question, though, has helped me out. And I thought of the answer quite quickly, and that is Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation 1. Now, this was the first game that made me realize that gaming could be massive cinematic moments and also take you along a ride with an awesome story. The Revolver Ocelot gunfight it blew my mind that you had to ricochet the bullets and all that sort of stuff, and he could do the same to you. Psycho Mantis, moving my controller using telekinesis, aka the DualShock Rumble. And the temperature controlled keys towards the end of the game, where the game led you to believe that there are 3 keys that you needed to unlock or to set. I think it was for a nuclear weapon. But there was only one key, but it was temperature controlled. So one key would be a room temperature key. And then if you took it into like a furnace area and increased the temperature, it would transmorph into a different key. And then if you took it into the snow, it would change it into a different key again. And those were the 3 keys that you needed. So you had the 3 keys all along. You just needed to work out that they were temperature controlled. I can't remember exactly how I found out. They probably gave you a bit of a hint. The in-game characters talk and you're saying, Snake, try taking it into another area where it might be hotter, something like that. But yeah, I think the cool sort of little tricks that the original Metal Gear Solid game did on the PS1, the tricks that it pulled off to take you outside of just a regular video game, it really hit home. And for the longest time, when I first played Metal Gear Solid, all the way up to 2013, Metal Gear Solid 1 was my favourite video game of all time. That, of course, did get knocked off in 2013 when I played The Last of Us, because, well, if you played The Last of Us, I don't need to explain anything to you. You completely understand where I'm coming from. Unless you're weirdos that didn't like it. I don't understand you. You're weird. Don't touch me. You'll get weird on me. But, yeah, so that's the answer to my question there, and that's the Metal Gear Solid tactical espionage action on the PS1. Good on you, Brownie. Thanks for that one. Adam Ryle checks in again and says, thanks for the feedback. By the way, Snoogs and Lucas, with my question was helpful. If you're wondering, last week, Adams asked us for time management tips, and we gave him the best tips that we could think of. He says it was helpful. I don't know. It was advice coming from myself and Snoogs, so I don't know how helpful it would have actually been. All right, so next one, we've got Paul Clennet again chiming in with first game that blew me away was Dungeons & Dragons Treasures of Tarman on the Intellivision. Paul, you are dead set showing off your age this week in user-created content in television. This is like the first ever video game thing. Video game console. Anyway, loved games before that, but this one was a lot bigger and story-driven, and before I was always about arcade action. Nah, fair call. A good game with good solid gameplay that sort of mixes it up a little bit and tells a fantastic story. They're always going to win my heart, so I can see where you're coming from, Paul. Mark Davis also chimes in with, have you got anything on upgrading the hard drive of a PS4? Now, I've posted the actual tutorial video on that post to show him that, but it's really easy for anyone that wants to upgrade the hard drive on a PS4. Sony doesn't forbid it, although they don't actively support it by selling you upgraded hard drives, etc. They've made it really easy to do, and they also provide you with the tools that you need, like the digital tools that you need to do so. So you can just go to the website and download the operating system on a USB, literally physically change the hard drive by watching one of my tutorial videos or the many tutorials on the internet, and plug in your USB, turn it on, install your new OS, and away you go. It's as simple as that. Mind you, there's only one screw to remove the hard drive. Okay, there are another 4 screws to take the hard drive off the actual mounting plate. Let's call it 5 screws in total, and none of them are required to open the PlayStation 4 up. You literally just need to unclip the lid. My experience is only doing it with the original PlayStation 4. I'm not sure about the Pro and the Slim, but I'm pretty sure they're pretty easy too. They're basically built and made to be able to upgrade your hard drives. Because when Sony released the PlayStation 4, they want to keep the price down. So they give small hard drives. But at least they're giving us the option to make it really easy to upgrade that hard drive on our own without having to worry about breaking things. It's piss easy to do. So thank you very much to everyone that gave us some user-created content there. So Paul Clennett, Adam Ryle, Ross Mark, Brendan Brownie Brown, Adam Ryle, Paul Clennett again, and Mark Davis. All right, so without further ado, that's the end of that segment. Let's move into What's That Sound? Alright, so time for What's That Sound. Now, first up, let's start off with last week's What's That Sound. Not so many people got this one right, but yours truly, I managed to pick this one up. Whoop! Thank God it was at the beginning of the game, because I didn't play very much more than the beginning of this game. But first of all, let's have a listen to last week's What's That Sound? There you go, with the abrupt ending there. I picked it, and it is from The Evil Within. I basically remember playing the part of the game right early on where you're getting chased by that dude with the chainsaw. And that's really the only way that I picked what that sound was. I haven't played much more else of the game, of The Evil Within. I was sort of put off by the really bad performance of the game, considering it was rendered with like the big black bars, the cinematic bars, to try and increase the performance of the game. It still ran pretty poor on the PlayStation 4. Probably runs a lot better now with maybe some upgrades and maybe on the PS4 Pro, but I don't own the game, so I'm not going to go back to it. And The Evil Within 2 is coming out. Maybe that might be worth my time. Snoogs, however, didn't get the sound last week, and nobody else that sent in answers got the answer correct. So that puts me into an elite category of winners. But anyway, let's not gloat too much. Now, this week's sound, because I am on my very own lonesome, all by myself, don't wanna be... No, never mind, we don't want to hear me singing either. Alright, so I've got a What's That Sound for this week that I've chosen, so I of course know what the answer is. So I'm going to play it for you guys, see what you guys think of this one. there you go. That is this week's What's That Sound? Now, of course, I know what that sound is, so I'm not going to have a guess. Excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat. But if you think you know what that sound is, send us a message to our Facebook page, and if you're correct, I'll give you a free game. But before we finish this segment, I'll play it again. I'll give you guys some hints though. It's a little bit of an older game. Maybe you can tell from the quality of the output there, but we're going back quite a few generations of consoles, probably a style of console that's not around anymore that this was on. Or a brand of console, I should say, that really doesn't do the thing anymore. It was also on a couple. It was a cross-platform game. It was on a couple. It's old, it's competitive. I think that'll do. If you think you know what the sound is, like I said before, send us a message. I want to give you guys some free games. I want to do myself out of these free games. Hell, just send me a message. I don't even care if you answer. Just send us a message saying, "Yo, Lucas, shoot us a free game. I'll shoot you one." If you like Xbox One, I've got a couple of Xbox One codes to give away as well. Hit us up, and I'll shoot you a game. So that's the end of What's That Sound? So let's move on to Last Words. Alright, so we're up with Last Words. Now, I've got a couple of things to mention in Last Words. And the first one I've got here was given to us by Mark Harvey on the page. Cheers for this one. A late submission here. Didn't quite make the news, but interesting to mention. A teenager dies in a Chinese internet addiction camp. I didn't know these kinds of camps existed anywhere, but I guess if you're addicted to, well, I guess it's maybe internet / social media / video games, you can get sent to these like weird camps that basically it's a boot camp from what research I've done. And this 18-year-old guy, his name Li Ao, Liao, Li Ao, has died after staying at this internet addiction boot camp for just 2 days. Now, it's a little bit sus because, it sounds like he may have, had some sort of withdrawals and just died, but that's not what happened. This place promises to treat children and young people using a combination of psychological counselling and physical training. But the doctors have informed the Liu family that the teenager has suffered over 20 external injuries and several internal injuries, including internal bleeding. Sounds to me like this kid has had the snot beat out of him and unfortunately has died as a result. But interesting enough that 4 members of the centre's teaching staff as well as the director are now being held in custody. So I guess the police or whatever forces over in China have made some arrests and are looking into the death of this young guy. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if he got into a fight with anybody or if they literally just picked on him because he may not have been the same as the rest. I don't know. But pretty tragic there that somebody would die trying to make their life a little bit better. Next up, I've got PS Plus has a special on at the moment. So if you're a Sony guy, Sony gal, you can get 15 months of PlayStation Plus for the price of $12, which is $69.95 before the price rise at the end of August, which is going to go up another $10. So get that before August finishes up, and you'll get yourself a little bit of a little bonus there. Metal Gear Rising and Arkham Origins is now available on Xbox One backwards compatibility. So go and grab that if you're keen on that sort of stuff. And this just in, there's a whole bunch of last-gen games announced for release on a Nintendo Switch. Surprise, surprise. But that's all I've got for last words, and that brings us to the end of this week's episode. Now, I apologise again in advance. We're only about a half-hour show this week because my trusty sidekick is not well at the moment. So let's all wish him well. Let's get onto the pin post at the top of the Facebook page and give us a little message saying, "Get well soon, Snoogs. We love you. We miss you." And show him a bit of love. A little warm-hearted stuff never goes astray when people are under the weather. So let's do that. You can do a hashtag if you like. Hashtag Get Well Snoogs. And that's it. So thank you very much, everybody, for listening to a nice shortened show, and basically me rambling non-stop for half an hour. And if you like what you listen to, go and subscribe to us on iTunes. Subscribe on YouTube. We're on Twitter. Aussie Gamers 12, I believe we're on there. And like our Facebook page if you haven't already. And we'll see you again next week. Maybe we'll have my offsider back. I don't know. We'll see how we go. And yeah, that'll do. As always, I am Lucas. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time. See ya. That's it. We are finished for another week. We are packing up our bat and ball and we're going home. If you're keen for more content before the next show, then head over to the Aussie Gamers Express Facebook page and give us a like. And check out our website at www.aussiegamersexpress.com. We are also on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and every other social network that you can think of. Except that weird one that no one uses. You know the one. This podcast is also available on iTunes, Stitcher, and TuneIn Radio. See you all next time on the Aussie Gamers Express Video Game Podcast.